So today, the topic that I'm going to be speaking on is creating the causes for happiness. Because after all, some of us may realize that even though we want to be happy and we know that happiness is in the present moment, right under our nose, as I had mentioned it previously, the reality is that your mind may be clouded, distracted, and consumed by certain thoughts that just won't let you go. And this doesn't even enable you to focus on your breath, to be in the present, because your mind keeps getting dragged back into the past and worrying about the future. So I'm going to first introduce to you the first cause of creating happiness. And that is doing a mindfulness practice, meditation. And why is that? Because we need to know how to train this mind to be present. Because the default mode of the mind is going to the past to review what has happened and going to the future to plan and to over plan when we have not even lived this moment fully. And usually it's not just planning, it is about even worrying about things going wrong. We're not talking about just putting a plan in place and executing it. Instead, it goes into all the things that could go wrong, all the negative scenarios, and that just causes our mind to be dragged into the future, a future that is so uncertain and is really a mystery. So the first thing to do in creating the cause for happiness is to train the mind to be present. And this is by doing daily meditation practice. So allow me now to lead you in this practice, and then we'll get to the other causes of how we create happiness in the present moment. Okay, I trust that all of you are now ready. So, how does your body feel? How does your mind feel? Okay, so now closing your eyes and taking 3 beautiful deep breaths. Be aware of how the body feels right in this very moment. And this is part of the training of being tuning in into the present moment. Awareness of the body. And now tuning into the mind. How does the mind feel? Now tuning into the breath, wherever the breath is felt in your body, wherever you feel it the most. How does the breath feel? So you're not required to do the breathing, you're just tuning in to know where your breath is and how it currently feels. And as you are focusing on the breath, you may be aware that your mind is distracted by a thought or a sound, and to be okay with that. And when we learn how to be okay with things we can't control, like sounds that are occurring in the environment, thoughts that your mind is throwing up at you, we would be more at ease rather than getting all strung up. So I'd like to now invite you to tune into your chest. And be aware of how your chest feels in this moment. And be aware of how the rise and fall of your chest is feeling as you're focusing on the breath. How does that movement feel in your body? Be curious. This is the body you've been living in all this time, and you might be the least acquainted. How do your shoulders feel? Whenever you feel stress, this part of the body usually feels tighter. There's more tension. And now gently move your shoulders and release any tension that could be present in the shoulders. Now notice where your hands are. And if your fingers are closed up, you may wish to open them and relax your hands. And focus on how your hands are feeling in this moment. Are they happy where they are? Or would they like to be placed in a different position? And now noticing your lower back. How does it feel? Is it supported? Is there any tension or tightness in the lower back? So just breathe into the lower back. As in having the lower back in mind, sensing the lower back. As you notice your breath. That's how you breathe into a certain area in your body. And now just scan up your back and noticing your shoulders, particularly the shoulder blades this time. And your neck. And tilt your head side to side, front and back. So as experienced mindfulness practitioners, you can always vary what you focus on and even the sequence. And this helps you to be finding your practice more interesting instead of using the same sequence each time. And now focus on your facial expression. Is your jaw relaxed? Your cheeks? Your forehead? And now dropping back into the breath wherever you feel it most. And we'll just hang out with the breath for a few moments. Treat your breath as your best friend. Because one day when this best friend leaves us, our life will come to an end. So be grateful and kind to this breath. because His presence is what gives us life. So let's appreciate the presence of the breath while we have it, because it won't last forever. By acknowledging the impermanence of this breath, helps us to appreciate the time that we still have. Time that is limited and time that we will spend well. And when we know that the breath is going to be limited, for every breath that we take in, it's going to be one less breath left in the duration of our life. So this helps us to appreciate how precious time is and how precious our breath is. And now just be aware of how this body feels in this present moment, compared to when we first started. And how does the mind feel right now? Is it more calm? Is it more relaxed? And just counting 3 more breaths. And slowly opening your eyes. So welcome to all who have just joined us on Mindfulness at Sunset. This is the last Monday session I'm conducting. As next week onwards, or rather the rest of the week onwards, it will be Thursday. So I will be conducting the Thursday evening session going forward on a weekly basis in July. So the topic for today is creating the causes for happiness. And what we have just done in the mindfulness practice or meditation is to create that cause. And why is that so? It's because when we meditate, we are training our mind to be present. And therefore, we can actually feel the happiness right here, right now. And when our mind is softer, clearer, and calmer, we would make better choices going forward that will also bring more happiness than misery. If we have an agitated mind, a mind that's just frustrated, angered, resentful, or even jealous, our choices are not going to be as good. And that would just bring about more unhappiness in the future. So this is the first cause of how we create happiness, by training our mind to be present. And that training results in a calmer, more gentle mind, which will enable us to be more in control and make better choices. Second cause is doing things that are kind, doing actions or speaking that causes no harm to others and no harm to ourselves. Whenever we hurt someone with words, whether it's spoken through WhatsApp or emails, it hurts somebody else. The resulting outcome is that very likely that person will also hurt us back. So how can that be bringing happiness if we were to be unkind or being mean to someone? And the third cause would be doing actions that are kind or generous would bring about more happiness. So don't do anything that is harmful to others, because when it's harmful to others, it will probably harm us too. As in harming our mind, harming our sense of peace. And that doesn't create the conditions for us to feel happiness in the present moment. Because when we act harshly, when we act with meanness, our mind is very affected. And that's why our mind will keep replaying. Even if that moment you feel very shocked because you have got someone back, you have hantam somebody. Those of you who may not know the colloquial term of hantam, that means you whack somebody. You might feel a sense of satisfaction in that moment. But deep down in the heart, we won't feel good about ourselves, because we never would feel good about hurting someone else, even if that person has hurt us. So the best antidote is kindness. That may be hard, but that is what creates more happiness for our future. And also in the present. That is part of the mindfulness practice, to be able to withhold ourselves from wanting to hurt someone else. And the fourth cause is act with generosity. If we're able to give, to share, it's the most beautiful thing. Because when someone receives a gift from us, even if it's something small, it brings so much joy to them. So even the cleaner in my apartment block, I sometimes give him a mango or some bananas or chocolate for his son. He has a young son who is only 6 years old, although he himself is 60. He finds so much delight in receiving a small gift. So it's better to give small gifts and give it on a regular basis than to only give someone something once a year, like for a birthday. Give it every few weeks or a few months, because it touches their heart when you offer a gift. And the gift doesn't have to be big. When you go out with someone, if you can afford it, treat the person. A drink, a meal. When you are giving, there is so much warmth, a sense of happiness that just arises spontaneously. And when you need something, it somehow comes back. It may not be from the same person, maybe someone else. So giving is never a shortchanged action. It is something that plants the fruits or plants the seeds for the future fruits of happiness to arrive. So I hope you'll be encouraged why the practice of mindfulness does create the cause for happiness. And it's not a waste of time sitting there 10 minutes, half an hour doing mindfulness practices, or even a whole hour. Because the calmer the mind is, the softer the mind is, the more powerful it is in creating happiness. And isn't that what we live for? For happiness? That's right. I don't think any one of us lives wanting misery. We all want happiness, but we may not know the causes to create happiness.